Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Allen, answering your questions for the Section 3, the mental awareness part of Unlocking Transcendence. Sudha has a question that says, while doing this meditation, I felt my body slightly swaying, and I tried to control it, but let it be and continued to sway with the audio. Do I have to still my body, or is it okay to sway or dance to the meditation? Yes, this is a great question. So I may have answered this previously, but it's okay to sit however you want to sit when you're doing the meditation or lie down. And if your body is moving, I actually encourage that because you're going to feel the energy more easily than if you're holding yourself rigid. So no, you don't have to be still while you're meditating. Natasha was wondering about extra rooms in her head. So she had lots of great detail about her rooms and was aware that she had created them before, so it was really nice awareness. And she said, I had seen this funny little room that was like a cafeteria or deli when I did yesterday's exercise a second time. And this place reappeared attached to the planning room. I guess that's in case I get hungry. So not sure what that is, and maybe I'll try this again. So what I would say is that when we're using that room in the center of your head and looking at your thoughts and the way that you organize your mind, sure, you're going to find things in there that you might be doing already. And really, it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. I would say for you, if you're noticing that there's a room that exists there, then check out that room. Be curious. Just kind of go into it, explore it, and do all the same things we did with the other rooms. So you want to check and see, is it just my energy in here? Is it somebody else's energy in here? Is this old and outdated? Can I just let it go? Or is this a new room that I want to change or expand? And is there a location that feels really good for it? Or do I want to move it around into somewhere new? So you just kind of ask the same questions, and you'll notice that it's totally okay to make new rooms and to have new experiences in this mental space while we're doing this. So great question. Ladora has a question about seeing something unexpected when she closes her eyes. So she says, although I'm a visual person, I was unable to see each room, but actually felt directions. My workroom is in front, my relationship was to the right and very crowded. My planning room is to the left. Upper levels never occurred to me. And then she says, as usual, when I close my eyes, I am immediately traveling in a cave, which becomes longer and deeper each time. And Jeffrey, can you throw some light on this cave issue? And thanks for another enlightening class. So yeah, what's happening there when you're closing your eyes is you are moving into an experience that you've had before. For you, it actually looks like this may be sort of a combination of a memory of something that happened in the past, could even be a past life, and a way that you're sort of understanding your own mind. So your mind may feel like it's this kind of dark thing and there's unknown things inside, and you're kind of moving deeper and deeper into it, sort of like moving into a cave. So, it looks like there's a little bit of both of those happening for you. And what I'd say, if you're experiencing that, or somebody that's seeing something completely different when you close your eyes, what you want to do is just be kind of curious and go with it. So there's never anything to be afraid of when you're experiencing things in the center of your head, or really anywhere with your energy. If you find something that's kind of new or unexpected, then one, you're probably not making it up if you didn't expect it. And two, just be kind of curious and amused and have fun and go check it out. And it's just going to help you learn more about yourself. Now, I will say that there are times when I've studied stuff inside myself that took me, many years to actually sort out. And it's kind of funny. They weren't big things. They were just these kind of curiosities about, what is this experience I'm having? And then maybe 5 or 10 years later, the light bulb would come and I'd say, oh, I finally understand that thing. And I would just laugh and say, now it makes sense. Now, the reason I tell you that is that it's okay if you don't get an answer right away. Some things just stick with us and we're just not ready to fully understand it, even though we're aware that it's happening. And that's okay. There's no rush. There's plenty of time. We're going to be here for quite a while, living, hopefully. So there's lots of time to raise your awareness and discover that. So don't feel bad if it doesn't come right away. Duigu has a question about, how do I keep the doors closed in my mental space? I notice myself, and I'm thinking all the time, I'm opening all the doors, relationship, job, and future. When people around me start to speak on a topic or to do something to me, suddenly a door will open and I start to feel terrible. After mind awareness meditations, I'm like a crazy person because now I know the door is open and it reminds me of something and takes me a few minutes in that moment I'm in. And even if I'm talking to my friends, the doors tend to pop open. And so, and she kind of goes on there. Now, so what's happening there is, I would say, don't worry about that too much. So it's okay to have these doors open. It's actually pretty natural. So what's going to happen, just like with your chakras, if you need to access some information, and say you've got your lower chakras closed down, and you need to access that and get up and run, they'll just pop right open. It's no problem. Same thing when we're working in the center of the headspace. If you are talking to somebody and they talk about something, the information that you need is in your planning room, well, then of course you'll access that and the door will open. So there's not really a good or a bad thing here about it. You shouldn't have to have them closed all the time. It's just an exercise in knowing that you can do that. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and there's too much information, or you're always thinking about work or always obsessed with your relationships, then this exercise is fantastic for sort of segmenting that out and being able to turn it off. But I wouldn't try to control it perfectly. Really trying to force ourselves, whether it's our mind or our body or our spirit or our emotions, to do something that we want or follow a particular rigid set of rules is never going to work. All it's going to do is cause frustration because, things just don't work like that. So I would say great awareness that you notice this. It's kind of fun, but you're doing fine. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem at all. Marit says, since duality, I realized I have a dark space in the back of my head. When I tried to take a look at it or walk into it, it just moved around and slipped away. I still can't come into it. What should I do? Yeah, so that's just a little bit of unconscious energy that's back in the back of your head. And what I would suggest is do this blue light exercise where you're creating that blue energy ball between your hands, and then you're letting it shine back there. And just locate that, here's the space where there is some unconscious energy. Now you've got that already because you know it's in the back of the head. And then I would use that first style that we did in the meditation where you shine the light back there and then you imagine that you're walking into that space and continue walking through it. Even if you're spacing out, even if you can't find something, keep walking through it and you will get to something. So you'll get through the unconscious energy and you'll find, oh, I'm in this little quiet space, or this bright space, or this clear space, and now I'm starting to get some information about what is here. What was I hiding from myself, or what was I unable to see or not wanting to see? So I would just recommend do that meditation again. Now, if it doesn't come when you do it, yeah, you might have to try it a few times. If it doesn't come at all and you try a few times, it's okay. It just means you're not quite ready to look at it, and that's just fine. Again, there's no need to be perfect with the training or anything that you're doing, really. If you're aware that there's something in the back of your head, that's the first step. And you can just trust that when you're ready to find more information, the exercise will work and you'll get the answers. Ant says, I had black fog on part of the right side and 2 gray spots on the left side. I went to the right side first and were shining the light to the left, and then did the opposite thing the next morning. But I can't see or recognize anything. Just some past pulling, some defensive thoughts maybe. Maybe it's my habit to blame others. I feel freer and light is moving better, but I can't give it a name or a shape. Does that matter? That's a really good question. So sometimes we'll go in and clear some energy and we have no idea what we just cleared. Right? It's kind of like this. You're like, it was dark, it was gray, there were some spots or some fog, and then I moved it, no idea what it was, but now I feel better. I feel freer, I feel that, lighter, or things are moving. So I would say that's just perfect. It's not important to know exactly what you're clearing, right? The result is that you felt better and you felt freer, and you just want to trust that, hey, that's good enough. Sometimes if you find out the information about something, it'll actually cause you to go and kind of recreate that or dig deeper. Sometimes it's much easier to just let it go. This happens all the time when I'm doing hands-on healing with people, is that the healing guides will actually take them out of their body. So they can be talking and mid-sentence, they'll just like kind of conk out. And then the guides will do some healing work, clear some stuff out of the body, boom, the person will come back in. When I've asked about that, the reason they do it is they said if somebody's present in the body and gets that information, it's harder for them to let it go. So sometimes the same thing happens when you're working by yourself. It's actually easier to not know, just move the energy out and let it go. So good question. For the most part, people had great results clearing unconscious energy with the blue light. And of course, some people had some difficulty. So Emer said, I had difficulty at shining the blue light on any blockages. I can't see anything. I just fell asleep and got frustrated and switched off. Is this normal? Yes, sometimes it's normal. So not all the tools will work for everybody. And especially when we're working with unconsciousness, that's one of the kind of most slippery energies to get around because it's unconscious. The reason why we put unconscious energy somewhere is there's something we don't want to see or something we don't want to feel that we don't want to remember or know. And so we surround it with this foggy unconscious energy to allow ourselves some freedom from that place of pain or frustration. So when you start going into it like we're doing this exercise, sometimes you'll feel the frustration that was there, and that could be what you're feeling. And sometimes you'll just fall asleep because unconscious energy makes you do that. That's actually the purpose of the unconscious energy. So yeah, it's normal. I would say don't get frustrated about it. What you want to do instead is just kind of laugh and say, wow, this is some deep unconscious stuff. And then just try again sometime. And again, if you don't get it all, it's no big deal. There'll always be something to work on as long as you're alive. so there's no rush. So Linda had a similar thing. She said, although the light seemed blue, I saw nothing else. What am I doing or not doing? So I'd say for you, Linda, it looks like you could see that blue light and you're shining it around the room. But if you just see the blue light reflecting back and you don't see any dark spots, it's totally possible there's no unconscious energy in that part of your mind. And that's great. Daria had one too. She's very similar. Says, could not find any fog in the room. There was a small dark patch, 1/2 meter wide, that got lightened up as soon as I approached it, but there was nothing there either. The same with the question, empty, light, blue, glowing room. Okay, I'm not sure what that said, but should I modify the technique in some way to be able to get into the described conditions, or is it possible that I wasn't ready, relaxed enough? Okay, so yeah, Daria, so the same answer for you, that yeah, it's okay. You don't have to find something. So sometimes you'll be looking around, you'll find a little bit like you did, it'll clear out. You don't know why it cleared or what it was, but it's gone. Doesn't mean you're not doing it right. It means you did it just fine. And I would say, yes, should you modify the technique? If you feel guided to modify any of the techniques that I'm providing, then definitely do that. You're totally welcome to change them and make them your own. And, you know, if you feel like, oh, that blue light's not working for me, but a yellow one would work, great, use a yellow light. There's no magic to what I'm doing. These are visualizations that are very close to how the energy actually works, so it helps you get in touch with it, but it's okay to adapt them to your needs. Anna asked, how can I use the blue light to find lost objects? I've been trying to find 2 lost objects from a reorganization of my home space. How do I do that? Yeah, I kind of dropped that little hint, but I didn't give you the details there. So if you are trying to find a lost object, what I would do is, if you know it's in your house, for example, I would close my eyes somewhere in the house, and then I would create that blue light in my hands. And then just like you would do in the center of your head space where you're working with rooms, I would work with the physical rooms in the house, right? Because you didn't lose it in your head, you lost it in the house somewhere. So what you would do is you'd create that blue light between your hands, and then just imagine you're kind of shining it around the different rooms, and look for a place where it'll either light up or where there's a place where it's sort of dark and you can't see. Because if it's in a place where there's a lot of unconscious energy, it'll be hard for you to see it. That's why sometimes, it's so funny, sometimes you'll notice that you're looking for something and you can't find it. And then somebody else will point over and say, well, isn't it sitting like right on the desk in front of you? And then when you look there, you can see it. But you couldn't see it no matter how hard you looked before. You couldn't see it by yourself. You needed somebody else that could point through that unconscious energy to get your attention to the place where it actually was. So this is the same kind of technique, but you're doing it by yourself. You're just looking for a pocket of unconscious energy, which you can clear and then go look there. Or sometimes you'll just see the object lit up. Now, if you're a duality student, you can also use the technique I told you there, which was to ground the lost objects. Just create a grounding cord on them, connect them to the center of the earth, and then look around for the grounding cord. It's actually the same idea, is that it's probably in an unconscious place, but if you create the grounding cord, because you created it and it's very conscious, you'll be able to find the grounding cord easier than the object. So there's a couple of tricks. They don't always work, but they work probably 75% of the time. Elizabeth wants to know, what else can we use the blue light for? Can we also use the blue light for emotions, difficult or otherwise, and sensations in the body for healing and to bring more clarity? So sure, you can use this blue light. The blue light is just for clearing unconscious energy. So if there is unconscious places in your emotions, you can use the blue light to do that. And we will actually do that when we get to the emotional section, which is section 5, so days 40 through 50, roughly. So we'll use the blue light there. You'll learn how. If you're working with the body, there might be some unconscious energy in the way of you healing, but you'd probably be more likely to use the things that we practiced in the body section, where you're working with energy in the body and moving blocks in the body and so on. But if you thought of it, if you thought to ask the question, then the answer is probably yes for you. Whatever situation you're thinking of, if you think of something and a tool comes to you, even if it doesn't seem like the right tool for the job, just trust that it is. That's why you thought of it. That's exactly why I'm giving you, planting all these different seeds, lots of different experiences, lots of different tools and techniques to use, so that when you have a question or you're wondering about something, the right one will pop up because you've done it before and it's in your awareness. So great question. So we have some questions about sensing objects around you. Carola says, I have been doing a bit of tidying up these last few days, though not enough. When I pictured the things to my left, especially after opening my eyes and seeing what a lot of little odds and ends were there, much of the clutter felt hollow and unnecessary or out of place. Some felt more solid, as though it belonged there. My laptop, printer, and journal felt solid in a more dynamic way because I'm using them. I describe them as useful. And this is a really interesting way of categorizing the things around me, and may be very helpful as I keep decluttering and tidying. Yeah, so that's really good. The reason I put this one in here is that it's a fun example of noticing that when you're extending your energy around and listening to or perceiving the things around you, you'll notice more than just their location. You'll start to notice kind of how active are they. If it's clutter, it may not show up at all, or it may show up as kind of static to you. It might feel like something is really solid and it belongs there. It's kind of, grounded, or that it's very active and there's energy moving through it. And this is really fun. If you'll notice that your objects in your environment really do shape how you're feeling. So if you're feeling like it's hard for you to work or it's hard for you to focus, I'd clean out that room in the center of your head for your work, but I would also go into your physical room, sit down, sense the objects around you, and then just say, the things that are not necessary here, they're just noise. Whether you're not seeing them anymore, maybe you're just tuning out the fact that there's junk in the office. But if you clean it up, the energy will feel much better and you'll get more productive, and the center of your head will clear up as well. So you can move the objects to change the energy. You can move the energy to change the objects. Both areas work. Nisha says, I'm still having trouble with the notice something I haven't noticed before, but I think I'm learning to play and practice instead of getting stuck in the self-judgment of not being good enough or not doing it well enough. Lane said something similar. I really did not notice anything that I haven't noticed before. Diane, same thing. I can never notice anything else and I wasn't expecting to see, and I feel like a failure every time that question is asked. I know I'm supposed to feel amused, but it makes me angry. So, well, it made me amused. Okay, and then Kelly said, I was also surprised when I tried to feel around me for something I didn't notice before. I could feel that something was there, but when I went to look at it, it wasn't what I imagined. But it was cool that I could use this sense of presence, sense the presence of something. Okay, so I read all of those through because they're very similar. And if you're having problems with that, you want to keep in mind why I put that exercise in there. So the reason I'm asking you to notice something you haven't noticed before is that I'm stretching you. Okay, so we're looking at, here's the awareness that you can access easily in the exercise. And then, okay, let's just assume that you couldn't access everything, because nobody can, right? Everybody has blind spots. We all have things that we're not seeing. So it doesn't mean that you're failing in any way. But what I'm saying is just notice one of those things. Notice one little area where you hadn't noticed something before. Usually something will pop up and you'll say, wow, well, that's kind of cool. I saw something. Sometimes nothing will pop up, and that's totally okay too. What we're dealing with here is, I'm stretching your awareness, and some of you are hitting a little bit of perfect pictures, which means you're wanting to do it perfectly. And, everything that I suggest, you want to do it right, get great results, and excel at every single thing. This is unrealistic, right? So that's too much expectation to put on yourself. And you want to really let that go and just have fun. Sometimes you'll do a meditation. This even happens to me. I'm doing my own meditations here in this program. Sometimes I'll go through and say, okay, I didn't really get much today because I was spacey and falling asleep and tired. But then when I start writing about what happened, I'll notice, oh wow, actually I got a lot more than I thought. Stuff will come up that I didn't even notice I was noticing. That's why I have you guys share it. Even if you just type it up for yourself, it's really handy. So I would say, don't worry about it. If you're struggling with something like this, just laugh, let go of the perfect pictures, enjoy yourself. And you'll notice that when you come back through later, if you do the program again and come back through on your own time, you'll notice that the things that were really hard and frustrating before will be super simple for you the next time through. It's actually really fun because you'll see how much you grew. Natasha has a question about public speaking. She says, when I was 69% focused when my friend was talking, but when I talk, I seem to tune out or split up my attention with little on myself, quite a bit worrying about the other person. And I kind of knew this about myself. And she says, I've done some public speaking and had times where I couldn't remember what I said after, like I wasn't there. And I think I'd like to experiment with greater focus when I talk, but I'm not sure where to put my attention. Should it be on myself if I'm presenting? And Juan said, good question. Where do we put our attention when speaking in public? So I would say a couple things there. When you're speaking in public, initially you're going to want to connect with the people you're talking to. So I would extend my awareness around into the entire room where the whole audience is so I could feel everybody. Then when I go on the stage to speak, I continue listening to everybody that's in the room. So the reason I do this is that if I'm focused on here's the people in the room, and the reason I'm listening to them energetically is because I'm here to help them in some way, and I want to understand them better so that I can tune what I'm saying, what I'm presenting to the people that are there. If I'm totally focused on the audience, everything just works beautifully, right? I don't forget what I'm going to say because I'm tuning in. I can see what needs to happen. Now, if I'm nervous or wondering, like Natasha said here, worried about what people think about me, then I'm going to be, my attention is really on me. I may be saying that I'm worried about what other people think about me, but really I'm worried about me. What do people see about me? I'm focused on myself. That's the only way you can feel nervous when you're speaking, is if your attention is on you instead of on your audience. And so there's a little bit of funny balance there, right? So you got to reach out, extend your awareness around everybody. You want to be very present in your body. You don't want to leave your body and go to everybody else. You want to have clear boundaries and clear energy, but you want to share that awareness of I'm aware what everybody else needs in the room and what they're doing. But you want to be confident also and not be disturbed if somebody isn't getting it. That actually just takes a little bit of practice because there'll always be somebody in the room that's thinking about something else, didn't like what you're saying. And that's totally okay. You just got to kind of get used to that part. So sort of a long answer, but those are a few tips while you're public speaking. Rebecca is asking about what can I do when I notice I'm not listening to somebody. Now, she says, I pretend I'm still engaged. I try not to be rude, and I force myself to get back to the person, but I've found myself on many occasions not having heard what they said. And I'm not sure how to stop that self-centered monkey mind action where I just go off on my own and think of something else. And then I find myself getting mad that I'm being so preoccupied. So what I would say is, one, it's totally normal. When somebody's talking, they may trigger some information that's important for you, and you'll go chase down that information in your own head and your own thoughts and not be listening to what they're saying. That's okay. What I would say when that happens, what I've found is fun for me is to just be honest and to say something like, well, I'm sorry, I totally spaced out there. Or, oh, while you're talking, I had this little flash of insight, and then I totally lost track of what you were saying. And what's fun about this is, one, I don't have to pretend or lie and sort of fake it like I'm paying attention, which, I tried that, but it's kind of awkward. And people probably know anyway. I also noticed that if I don't judge it, that my attention changed, other people don't judge it either, right? So there's a little trick there. So again, if I don't judge it, other people don't judge it. So I would recommend just be totally honest with people. And if you do that and you get out of resistance, you'll notice that it actually stops happening as much too. So that's kind of fun. Michelle says, thank you for the quest. Until today, day 26, the most difficult practice for me was the body energy perception. Do we need to align the energy in the body to feel more clearly? So if you want to feel more clearly in the body, I would just practice being in the body more. Of course, it's going to help if you align your energy. So if you're taking a class that shows you how to work with the chakras or work with the energy channels in the body or how to ground yourself, like Duality has all the tools for the energy body, my Duality training. So if you're taking a class like that, sure, it's definitely going to help to get more clear in the energy body. That's going to help your perception quite a bit. Kathy has a question about listening to other people's opinions is a very difficult challenge. So especially if it's a subject that she's very strong feeling about, then it's hard to, find the other perspective. She mentions being vegan because for her, she's very passionate about it, and it's, she's opposed to eating animals for health reasons and for the animal cruelty and so on. And listening to somebody else's opposing view is very difficult to imagine. And trying to say the opposing view is very difficult. So what I would paraphrase this to is that, is it okay to be dogmatically positioned, right? When I say dogmatically positioned, what I mean is that it's hard for you to change your position. It doesn't mean that's necessarily good or bad. If you're aware that you're strongly opinionated, or that you're dogmatically positioned with something, and you're okay with that, then it's fine. Like if this is a choice that you've made, you've said, hey, vegan is it for me, then no problem. You don't have to adopt the other stance. Now, what I would say, though, is that you do want to keep in mind that something that's true for me doesn't mean that it's true for everyone, right? So if you're taking your position that's strongly held for you and that you're passionate about, that's great that you're passionate about it, but you want to respect that other people might be passionate around their topic, even if it's the opposite of what yours is. And, so if it's okay for you to have strong opinions, then it has to be okay for other people to have strong opinions too. And I would say that it's totally okay either way. So, but have, be fair. Let yourself have it, let other people have it, and no problem. Kind of a fun comment from Zainab. Said, oh wow, my resistance was incredible. Was this a challenge day? Oh yes, it was challenging indeed. And sorry to say, Jeffrey, I wasn't amused. Oh boy, so much more work has to be done. So what I'd suggest, this happens. Sometimes you will not feel amused. And what I'd suggest is force it a little bit or use sarcastic amusement. Okay, so you might be like, ha, 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 ha. Right? And if that doesn't work, try it again. Ha, 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 ha. So be sarcastic, force it, play with it, and you'll notice that eventually you will start laughing. I mean, there's no way to stop yourself. If you really try, that's a kind of a fun way to get yourself into amusement. Now we had a whole bunch of surprisingly positive futures that you guys were seeing. It was so nice. We were, especially when you tuned into the world view instead of the very close to home view. A lot of you said that this was more positive and happier and hopeful on that larger view. Also, some of you said that as you change the time frame, as you extend it out into 10 years into the future, you notice that, wow, the future seems more positive or hopeful or lighter than the present does. And that's why I had to do this exercise, because if you start getting that scope and looking at the bigger picture, both in time and location, the size of the planet rather than your own little pocket of the planet, you'll notice that you get a bit different perspective. And it's just helpful when you have that sense that things are going in a good direction, then the little local ups and downs don't seem quite as devastating. So great work, everybody. Luke says, my brain is struggling to respond in any way on the last few exercises. No noise, emotion, feeling, or ideas coming up. Anyways, I'll keep at it. And then Liz said, I'm with you. I got nothing. So I would say that, you want to just keep practicing in whatever areas that you're getting progress. So the reason I say that is if you go through some section like we just did this work with unconscious energy, if that didn't work for you, that's totally okay. Keep going, because we're changing topics every 5 days and working on a different style of awareness. And you'll notice that awareness is kind of fun. If you work on one part of your awareness and improve there, it'll actually improve the other areas as well, even though you're not working directly on them, because all your awareness is connected. So just keep going and get the next awareness in the next part. If you come back, you'll notice that, wow, this is a lot easier. And keep in mind too, we're just planting seeds this time. So some of those seeds you won't notice, they're just planting, and they'll grow in 2 months or 6 months or a year. And then you'll remember, wow, I can do this funny thing that I had no way or no response to when I tried it before. Joyce says, any tips for getting better sleep? What to do about waking up in the middle of the night? Maybe my activations are really effective, so stuff is coming up at night to be cleared. Yeah, it's totally possible. As you're raising your awareness, people do tend to wake up, especially between like 3 and 4 in the morning. The reason why you're waking up then is that's when the energy veils, kind of the unconscious layer of energy between your current awareness, your body level awareness, and your out-of-body awareness. That's when that layer of unconscious energy, that veil, is the thinnest. So it's actually a great time to meditate, to get insights, to let that information or energy clear. And don't worry about my dog there. Don't worry if you're losing sleep, because what I've noticed is when that's happening, if I go through a period where my awareness is going up and I'm not sleeping as much, or I'm up in the middle of the night, it doesn't seem to affect how sleepy I am during the day. So I would say don't worry about that. If you do want to get better sleep, you want to focus on really getting present in your body before you sleep, and just clear it. You can actually do the center of your head. That's a great way to do it. Clear everything out so that you're in a peaceful place before you go to sleep. Now, if you really can't get to sleep, just listen to one of my meditations on clearing unconscious energy, and you'll probably pass out. So sometimes my meditations are great for insomnia. Yana says, I feel like the quest format is going too fast for me. It's a daily commitment. I don't have time to revisit previous lessons or practice multiple times. And she says that the first 10 days were great. The second 10 days starting to get backed up, and now that things are kind of a big mess and there's not time to practice. So also, I think the material is great. I really enjoyed the individual segments, but as a whole, it might be too much, and it's kind of getting to be a blur. Now, I would say that really this is okay. So the quest is designed to keep going every day, because we're planting lots of seeds and taking you into, all these new experiences. And the easiest way to do that is to just go and keep planting them. And you don't really need to worry about getting them perfect. So I don't want you to go back and practice the exercises many times each and try to get them to perfection. That's just not necessary at this point. The second thing that we're doing in the program, besides planting all these seeds with new experiences, is helping you to shake loose from your old habits. And this is an old habit for many people, is that we want to do everything perfectly, and that we're worried about what we missed, or that we want to practice until we get it right. And this program won't let you do that. And so it might be a little frustrating. I apologize for that, but it's okay. You're just trying it a different way. So trust me with this one. Just continue to go through the program. Don't worry if there's something you missed. Maybe just make a little star, or make a little note somewhere that you want to go back and do that one. What I recommend is just blast through the whole 60 days and get everything, then go back and start over. Because you'll find, again, we're planting the seeds, and by the time you get to the end, you're really ready to start the program, because we've seeded all of your awareness. Then you're ready to go back and get the best results going through. It's kind of a funny way to say it, but that's what I'd recommend. Just keep going. Don't worry about it going too fast. Again, that's also why I built in it in 10-day sections. So if you're way behind in one section, we start the new one. Just give up on the old one. Just say, oh, I didn't finish the mental one. Oh well, I'm just going to dive in on day one with the next one. Totally okay to do that. Now, I guess I should say too, if you really don't like it and you really don't want to go as fast as we're going, just slow down and go at your own pace. That's totally okay too. It's always all right to not follow my instructions. Carla wants to know, are we going to learn more about healing the body? I mean, will other teachings bring us deeper into it? So this program isn't really tailored for body healing. But you'll notice that everything we're doing will help a little bit. This time when we're working on being in the center of your head, when we're working on listening with that external mind awareness, you'll notice that you get really present in your body when you're doing it. So all of these awareness exercises will have the effect of feeling more strong and more present in your body. When we do the emotional work, you'll notice that clearing some of those emotions out makes it more fun to be in your body. When we do the spiritual work, you'll notice that as you get more connected there, you're going to be more in your body. So everything that we do will affect the body, but it's not specifically tailored to do that. I'd say if you've got some body issues going on, get your awareness up, go through the whole 60 days, get your awareness up, and then just ask that question, what's the best tool for this? And see what comes up, or sign up for a different class that's a little bit more focused on body healing. That's a great idea too. Kathy says, I was walking my dog on our daily route this morning at 6:30, and all of a sudden this thing appeared right in front of my face and looked kind of like liquid with ripples. And I was just wondering, what was that? Should I be worried? Or maybe it's just me. Now, it sounds like a really cool experience, Kathy. And sometimes as your awareness is going up, you'll start becoming aware of things that you weren't aware of before, or becoming aware of things that nobody's aware of most of the time. I have heard people having that same experience that you mentioned, where it's kind of like this ripply, flowing liquid that's out in front of you. It looks a little bit like the movie, I can't remember, one of those underwater movies. They had something like that, where there's this ripply water thing. And what you're noticing there is you're probably just noticing some energy or some presence that's available and kind of localized there. And whether it's that or something else strange that you're noticing or that's happening as your awareness goes up, just be amused and enjoy it. If it happens many times, it might be worth looking deeper at. If it just happens once, it's probably just something that you became aware of briefly before it faded back into the unconscious. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Zainab, I am doing another Mind Valley program about the body. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, another question about not getting an answer. This one is from Zainab. I am doing another Mind Valley program about the body, and it's been mostly unsuccessful. This created an immense dislike towards my body, as if everybody else his body is working except mine, because my body, my genes, my metabolism sucks. And I've never come this close to internalizing self-hatred before, because I'm usually a happy, content person. So when I was doing this meditation, she's talking about the body one where you're tuning into 8 minutes of silence. This was actually on day 20. Then I was asking over and over again, why do we hold on to fat? Why can't I let it go? And during that 8 minutes of silence, just getting more and more mad and sad because no answer is coming. And the question is, should I be doing more of this, and continue to ask the question? So what's happening there is, when something is really important to us, like there's something in our body that we don't like, and we're already kind of lit up about it energetically, it's very hard to find answers, right? Because if we're not neutral, if we're not clear, if we're not amused, if we're not in a space where any answer is okay, then it's hard to find answers. It's like we're trying to look in a tiny little box. And so the trick there is that is to start to find some amusement around it, start to shift the energy so that it's okay. And what's interesting here, though, is you're also noticing that normally you're a pretty happy person, but this is getting you more and more and more frustrated. What I would say is that you're probably finding the answer and not noticing, right? So you're asking the question, why am I holding on to fat? Why can I let go of my weight? And then what are you finding? You're finding that you're really mad and that you're really sad and that you feel like you don't have the answer. That probably is the answer. So probably what you're finding in both these programs is, oh, I didn't even know, because I'm a happy person, but some part of me is angry and sad and frustrated, and that anger, fear, and frustration is causing me to gain weight. So I would say that that's probably the answer right there. You just didn't understand the context of it. It's kind of tricky like this when we're looking at energy and awareness. Sometimes it's right in front of us and we can't get it. So that's a wrap for today. I would say that there were so many amazing experiences on this round, and I love reading all the descriptions about what you're seeing and what you're feeling and the insights that you're getting, and I'm just blown away. This group is fantastic. You are all moving so fast, and your awareness is really opening up beautifully, and you're accessing information and seeing things and feeling things that are actually fairly advanced, and doing that without really any instruction on how to do it. I'm just giving you like the very basic minimum. Go here, try this, do that, and you guys are having fantastic results. So you're blowing me away. You're totally impressing me. I'm loving it, and I'm totally looking forward to more in the days to come.